welcome to the Group X podcast, mate. It's good to see you.
Mate, I can't believe I'm on this show, to be honest. You know, it's like I listen to this. I take the opportunity to listen to your podcast when I'm at work, just, escape from work, but also get to know some of my colleagues over in Australia and, get something to take away. So it's quite surreal for me to be on it and talking to
Mate,
you, Tony.
I'll be honest and say that I'm honoured that you've said that. I appreciate the fact that you said yeah for starters, but I love it when people tell me that they listen because I only really think there's two people listening: my mum and my wife.
Yeah, you and your daughter.
Yeah. Sometimes she tunes in, but not that often.
Well, thanks for welcoming me onto the show, Tony. Very honoured.
No,
very honoured.
All good, man. Let's kick it off as I do with all of them, man. Can you give us a little bit of a background on you, mate, and how you got to be in the industry and got to be where you are today?
Yeah, sure. I don't know where to start, to be honest. In high school, I wasn't your typical person that was into fitness. I like to think I was actually quite academic, and I used to look down on those that were good, look down at those that were good, into fitness and into PE. And I used to look at them and think, why don't you go do science or something like that? So high school, I wasn't really into fitness. I was probably the sort of person that went into the garage with my cousin and we did bench pressing and bicep curls. And then was my wife today, who was my girlfriend at the time. She introduced me to Les Mills. So I'm a Christchurch boy, proud Christchurch Cantabrian. I was living up in Auckland at the time. And my wife was a member at the Victoria Street Les Mills Club that we all know, right? The big mecca. So she was a member then. And she got me to come along and try it out. So that was my introduction to fitness, to be honest. I guess fitness in a gym, within a gym. I really got into group fitness there. I was 120 kg prop rugby player that went to body attack classes, body circuit classes, body pump classes. I loved all of those, right? And then I'd do some weights afterwards. And it was, do you want me to talk about how I got into group fitness itself or just?
Mate, yeah, for sure. Anything. It's about you. Tell me where, what I love the fact that at 120 kilo, you were in there doing attack.
I loved it.
That's awesome because that goes to show the program is not just designed for the whippets, the ones that are really fit and that kind of. A unit can get in there.
Thanks, mate.
And can do it. Yeah.
You know what,
mate? I say unit in a nice way. Yeah? I don't mean it in.
And it helps when you got people like Lisa Osborne. Oh, man, I nearly forgot her name for a moment. It helps when you have those program directors taking your classes, right? Because I was a regular to Lisa's classes and my body circuit classes with people like Nathan Jones, who's been on your show, Mid Thomas, Georgina Clark. They were my regular 6 a.m. body circuit classes at Auckland City. So I was right from day one as a member. I was exposed to that level of instruction of instruction. And then a grit came around, and I was a regular into grit as well. And I recall one day, I'm quite embarrassed about talking. I'm actually quite embarrassed talking about this part because I don't tell too many people this part. I was a regular in grit, and I rated myself. I was a big, again, 115 to 120, 115 when I was lean. And there was a couple that was training next to me one day. And then the next day, they had the mic on in front of me. And I remember the couple being next to me and then seeing them go from being participants to instructors made me think, oh, I can do that. Also, on top of that, one of the guys who was next to me, who then became an instructor, was a Pacific Islander, and I always thought as a Cantabrian or someone from Christchurch, I don't know if you notice the difference between Pacific Islanders in the South Island versus North Island. The accent's a little bit different. So you probably don't know. We all sound the same, eh, bro?
No, I have to mix it up.
We sound the same. But the guy I'm talking about is Billy and Karan. Well, Billy and then his wife Karan. So they went from being participants next to me to actually teaching. And because of that, Billy taught. And I remember thinking, I can coach better than that guy. I can move more weight than that guy. I can do burpees better than him. I should become an instructor. And because of that, there was a grit module that came around Auckland City, and I wasn't asked to do it. So I reached out to Tauranga or Benjamin Siolo, who was at the time the group fitness manager at Newland. And thanks to him, he put me through, and so I guess I'm officially a New Lynn instructor that was a participant at Auckland City. So that was my journey into group fitness. And then I moved home to Christchurch.
I think that's cool though. You said that you were a bit bit shy to sort of share that story. I think everyone has a story, and I think the fact that you can own that story but share that story with us, I think everyone starts somewhere. Yeah, the fact that you saw peers, people that were next to you doing that made you turn around and go, you know what? Hey, I think I can. Because what if that didn't happen? The sliding doors type thing. You may have never decided to go and do it and just sort of owned your spot in that class going, mate, I'm the king, you know what? Yep, here I am. But you didn't. You actually went and said, no, I'm going to go and do this training. Yep. I think you've got balls to do it, man. I think there's kudos to be shared or pointed there in that direction, because you did. That's the first step.
Yeah. And that was the first step of, like, if you know where I am today, that was the catalyst, right? I mean, there's multiple catalysts, but that was the catalyst to me actually being active within the fitness industry. Fast forward, so I became an instructor, moved home, and I trained up in other programs with Carrie Keppel, who was the club manager in Christchurch at the time. She trained me up in body combat, and then fast forward from there, I moved to Australia. Got to know yourself and also your beautiful wife, Rach.
That's
but
she'll think she is. I shouldn't say.
I'm very fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time for a lot of things. Think of Australia, worked at F45, and then I joined Club Lime, and then I became, and then things happened quite quickly with Club Lime. I was there at the right time. They listed, they went public, and then I was with the company when they went from, say, 14 or 15 clubs to whatever hundreds they have at the moment. And through that, I got exposure to multi-club management, senior management of some sort, head office, how head office operates to control clubs. And then I had to conceptualize Hip Republic, which is blowing up in Australia as well. And then that ended, and I joined LMAP, and I got to know you a bit more as well, Les Mills Asia Pacific, and I then got to then network with, because prior to that I was very much a Viva Leisure or Club Lime, Hip Republic, and so on. And then prior to then, or once I left that and joined LMAP, I then got to build this network with the rest of the companies across the country, right? Fitness Playground with Justin Ashley, who I've gotten to know quite well. Fitness and Lifestyle Group, Good Life, good Genesis, the lot, right? So then 2022, I've then had a year as a business partnership manager in Australia, and LMNZ came knocking, which is really nice. So then I'm very fortunate to then think that everything that happened leading up to that actually put me where I am today. And I'm in a role where I get to lead one of New Zealand's best clubs. I'm very happy with my pay and my salary. Like it's something that a lot of Kiwis who move to Aussie talk about this a lot. We don't want to come back unless we find something that will pay just as well as Australia. I was very fortunate at LMNZ. They really do value their stuff. And now I'm.
So what's your role at the moment? Where are you?
Les Mills Christchurch. I'm the club manager there. Got a team of 5 department managers. Close to, with contractors and employers together, we've got maybe close to 100 people on the books. It's quite a big team. 4,000 members. So it's quite surreal now to think that someone trusts me with all this money. the guy.
Mate, you've got a skill set, and as you said as well, with the experience you've had all the way through, from coming over doing the F45s to Club Lime to Les Mills Asia Pacific, business development manager, the people you've met, the relationships you've met, and the skill set that you've acquired along the way. There's a reason they reached out. You know what you're doing. You're a good operator in that regard. So that I give you you credit for in a big way, but I also give LMNZ credit for knowing who they want, knowing who they want on their team, knowing that they can trust you to go, cool, man. Yep. Look at the experience you've got. Get over here. To put you in charge of a club that's as big as what Les Mills Christchurch is, and let you run it, mate. That's one
worrying,
fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
Not at all, mate. I think you've got the skill, and I'm sure that your team that you've got working for you as well support you in as much as you
Thanks, mate.
support them
Yeah.
doing what you do.
I'm very lucky. Like I'm
Yeah.
incredibly grateful to everyone that I've crossed paths with. Like even your wife, Rach. I don't know. Are you happy for me to talk about her? Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
moments that I've crossed paths with her when my first body pump class at SISAC, the club manager at the time at SISAC, she got me to team teach with Rach because she wanted to make sure that I was good enough. Hey, Rach, please team teach with this guy called Tevita who's come from New Zealand. Let me know if he's any good, and then we'll let him go and teach some classes. So so Rach, I'm so grateful for my time having worked with Rach and then having crossed paths multiple times. When she moved back to Wollongong and so on, and also like people like
Yep.
Billy and Karan for that very moment at the start, Ben Siolo. There's heaps of people that I really want to acknowledge, and sometimes I wish I told them in person how much how much I value them for being in my life at the particular point in time.
Yep. Well, mate, if they're listening,
Yeah,
they know now.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, and if they're not listening, they should be. But no, my point with that would be, if you get an opportunity to see those people, make sure you just spend a couple of minutes with them and thank them. Yeah, I think that's the giving them credit, but also acknowledging yourself. Yeah, in an open environment on where you've come from and how you got there. I think a lot of instructors these days sometimes forget, how they got to where they are. We all started somewhere. We all started either in the back of the room or somewhere at the front, enjoying ourselves. And it's that tap on the shoulder moment or that realization yourself is what happened to you. Hey, you know what? I think I can do this. I'm going to give it a shot. To anyone that's ever stepped up and given it a shot, whether they succeed or not, mate, my hat's off to them straight away. Because it's a tough gig. Some people are going to make it and some people won't. Those of us that make it, those of us that get out in there and do something with it, it's so rewarding, not just for us, but for the people that are in front of us. The people that we're in front of every single day, whose lives we're changing when we don't even realize we're doing it. We're just in there to do a job. We're there to teach. We go, yep, cool, this is what we're doing. And those people walk away from that moment and they're invigorated, they're enthralled, they're whatever it may be that they're feeling when they go.
100%,
that's what we're here for.
100%.
Yep.
It's it's interesting when you think about it from that perspective, right? It's you have someone who's a dentist or a surgeon, those lawyers, all sorts of people come to your class, right? And your class, I mean, for us, it's just, I got to remember my Corrie, I got to teach for 45 to an hour, don't be late, all that sort of stuff, right? For them, it might be the important part in their day to go home and release some stress before they go home to their family, so on. We don't often think about that perspective, right? And as a club manager now, I see this every day because we're going through heaps of renovations at the moment at Les Mills Christchurch, and we've had to make some changes, huge changes to the timetable at the moment. So you can imagine, right? Imagine you'll be going to this class for how many years, and all of a sudden you can no longer go at 9 a.m. It's now 9:30. You're pissed off. That's half an hour that you've had to shift your Saturday.
Yep.
Yes, I'm having to deal with those, and I just have to remind myself, like, it's not personal for them. Like, the class itself is clearly really important.
Yep.
Yeah, just going back to what you're saying, like, what we do is we forget how big it is for a lot of people.
This is the Group X podcast. What changes are they doing at Les Mills Christchurch? What are you doing?
Oh my gosh! So the Mills family is spending lots of money. We call this Project Full Potential. Downstairs is our cycle studio. So it's been gutted, it's been ripped out, and it's converting into an immersive cycle studio. So the big curved wall. Yeah, and it's dragged on a bit longer than we expected because of the earthquakes back in 2011. So every time we peeled something away, we've found something that's been there since the earthquake, like cracks and so on. Yeah, so downstairs we're getting a brand new immersive cycle studio, and upstairs Studio 2, starting today, is getting gutted. Everything's being ripped out and it's going to be converted into what we call an athletic hybrid studio.
Okay.
So it'll be like black turf, black on black, and it's going to be our new ceremony studio, which is really exciting. So exciting.
Nice. So, and you said you got 4,000 members at this gym, yeah?
Correct. Trying to claw back to pre-COVID numbers. Yep. So we're coming up to budget round, so you can imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
You're here I need you to get back to this number.
Look,
How are you going to get
is
there?
what is attendance like over there at the moment? Not just for Group X, but in the gym itself. Are people coming back? Like, I suppose I asked the question because here in Australia, I know Queensland is really pumping, and there are certain pockets throughout other states that are really, really pumping as well. But I also know that there are other pockets that are really struggling. We're seeing a lot of clubs up for sale, a lot of clubs closing. What's happening in NZ at the moment? What's happening in Christchurch? Are numbers coming back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So our gym is it's we're currently sitting close to 4,000 members. Attendance got up to maybe 6,500 for the week recently. So I think it's not quite twice per week per member. It's around, I think it was roughly a 1.7 ish, which is great. I'm happy with the number. So 6,500 attendance into the gym. For us in Christchurch specifically, coming home, I knew where the quick wins were. So I knew a lot of people who come to Les Mills Christchurch go there for group fitness or some form of hypertrophy training using the machines. We were probably falling behind with regards to the functional space. So today there's been a lot of money spent on developing the functional space, and because of that, I like to think that we're now competing with a lot of the boutique gyms around. But numbers are definitely there. It's definitely coming back.
And I think with the renovations also, that's going to help big time. When people see new stuff and shiny stuff, they're attracted to it. Yeah, we know that it's going to help big time, especially the immersive studio downstairs. That's, every time that I've seen one and seen attendance, people love them. They're drawn to it.
And our cycle classes are heavily attended as well. So it's really exciting for us to introduce that. And I mean, you've had a couple of our instructors on, well, one at least on your show, Bevan James Isles. Like, he's a regular instructor with us too. So Maureen Baker,
Maureen, yes.
Well. So those sorts of people are regular instructors on our timetable. So we have, when you think of the caliber that we have, and then having these new offerings, it just goes. It's really exciting to think of where the gym's going to go with its offering, and then to know that our numbers will increase even more. But to come to your question, numbers have bounced back massively. And then new programs now that we're currently trialing. We're seeing a slight shift with the demographic that are attending group fitness. Again, really exciting.
You touched on one there a moment ago, ceremony. Now, ceremony is not here in Australia at the moment. I don't know if it's going to be or not. What is ceremony?
It is I should know how to wrap this up or package this. It's a 45-minute functional training. 45 minutes of functional training using your standard functional equipment that you would see in the gym, but not in a group fitness studio. Okay. Things like rowers, ski ergs, kettlebells, dead balls, sleds, TRX.
So not
45 minutes,
and not in a normal group fitness environment, group exercise space. So it would be in a separate purpose room or gym floor.
Well, it's in our group fitness room that's currently being converted into this athletic studio.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you think of like a I'm trying to think of something that most people would recognize, like an F45 studio. Okay. So it'd be similar to an F45 workouts without the white and the blues and the reds. It'd just be black. Yes. Like it's black turf, black walls, which is kind of in line with this rebrand that LMNZ clubs are going through as well.
Okay. And you mentioned there's a few other programs that are going on now. I want to know that some of these programs may never make it to Australia or may never leave New Zealand. I understand that there have been programs along the years that are just a Les Mills NZ program that they keep within club. They don't send out to the world as such. What are some? I know that strength development is another one that is coming, and I know that Les Mills Asia Pacific have put something up on their website recently saying that hopefully it'll be here by the end of this year, if not early next year. Have you done strength development?
You know what? I taught my first strength development class today. My first one.
Excellent. So give us a bit of detail, if you can, about what strength development is.
So it's functional movements again. It's using weights, so resistant training, interval based, and then it's similar to a body pump class, right? So body pump's very structured. I like to think that strength development provides an alternative in the way of doing more movements outside the usual body pump. I'm not packing this right, am I? So it's strength development is using weights similar to body pump or to a grit strength class, but then the movements are a lot more. I say are more in line with what you might see on the gym floor, like
Okay.
hip extensions, like the glute
Yep.
bridges. Today's class, for example, was power focus. So there was a big focus on clean into a jerk, which is quite different language to what we normally use in body pump, as opposed to a clean and press. Superset movements. So it'd be like, 30 seconds to do 2 movements, supersetting exercise 1 and exercise
Okay.
2. So I'd say it's almost a little bit like a grit strength class, but a lot slower.
Okay. Is it choreographed to the music, to the beat of the music, or is the music just there in the
No,
background?
yeah, just based on time. Based on
Okay.
time. So you might have 30 seconds to do 1 movement, but trying to focus on the slower tempo.
Yep.
You'd go a lot heavier than you would in a normal pump
Yep.
class. And then you've got it's time based.
Okay.
So your repetitions are based on how many you can fit in within a particular time
Yep.
period.
Now, what I read online today was it's a 12-week program. A 12-week program that each session runs 45 minutes. Am I right?
Yeah, so we here in Christchurch, we have, so we're currently up to release number 7, and we'll run a release for 2 weeks. So release number 7 is power focused. I haven't looked at release number 8 yet. So next week we'll kick into release number 8, and we'll run that for 2 weeks. So all the strength development classes will be running the same release for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it gives you, from a personal training perspective, it gives you kind of the idea of training a particular way and progressing to this and then progressing to that and so on.
Yep.
And then once you get to 12, we'll do that for 2 weeks and then we'll loop back to number 1.
Okay. So as an example, can I come and join in week 6?
Correct.
Okay. So it's not like I
Whenever
need to be there
yep.
from week 1 to go through the whole thing. I can come in at week 6 and pick up from where we are in week 6 and go through, knowing that at week 12 or week 13, we go back to what it is in week 1. And so it's not
back to number 1.
It's not progressive, as in each week we go and add on to what it is. You can still jump into a class at any particular
Correct.
week. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this.
I don't think you'd be you wouldn't jump into say today, you wouldn't jump into it if you were brand new and feel like you missed out on something.
Yep.
You'll just be up to wherever the programming is today.
Yep. No, that's cool. That makes sense. I'm going to be honest and say I like the fact that it's not to the beat of the music. Yeah. It's different. Yeah. It's yes, okay, you know what, we saw it at the beginning of sprint, we've seen it with grit as well, that it's not so much, rhythm based to the actual beat of the music, and we've seen those changes. And I think that's one thing that is attracting the different demographic. Yeah, we're seeing, and I've had this conversation with some people on the show here before, that pump is fantastic, but a 20-year-old doesn't really want to do pump because their mum or dad's been doing pump. Yeah. Some of them may want to go in there, but a lot of them don't really want to. They want something different. And that's not shitting on the program at all. Please don't think that I'm doing that at all. And the programs are fantastic and they work. They're still solid programs. But a younger demographic, especially here in Australia, don't want to do what mum and dad did. Like if I had a 20-year-old, I'll guarantee you they wouldn't be coming to do a pump workout with me. They'd be going to do something else at the gym. And I think strength development is that next step, that next phase to get that younger demographic engaged. It's the next evolution, if that's the word I'll use, of programs coming through. Well, it sounds like it is anyway.
Yeah. The challenge is ensuring that we can put the gym or our fitness offering into a space where you're focusing on that member acquisition piece, but at the same time acknowledging those who have been in your body pump class for I think our gym opened up in the early 80s, so we've got members that have been there for over 40 years.
Yep.
So acknowledging those members and ensuring that they feel confident and safe enough to try out the new stuff.
Yeah.
Just to come back to your point around, the demographic that you want to attract into a gym and how they don't really want to be doing things that mum and dad have been doing. Oh, let's say auntie and uncle.
Yep.
I had so we have this thing called MXM, which is we send out daily surveys to members, and I get comments back every day. Some are great, some are bad.
Yep.
Today I had one that come through and said, your body pump class is very repetitive. Can you please consider changing it so it's not always warm up, squats, backtrack, chest track, and I just thought, oh, it's, and I had to look at her date of birth, and I realized it's that demographic who, to your point, Tony,
Yep.
who try something out and realize it's so repetitive, they don't want to be doing that. Yeah.
Yep. But
But I think there's a place on a timetable for sure, on a
100%.
timetable for sure, right?
Yes.
To do both of them.
Yes.
And then it's because if you think of strength development as being something that's a bit more slow tempoed, you can challenge yourself to go a little bit heavier, and then body pump can be your lightweight conditioning,
Yes.
high repetition as
Yep.
we the way we spell it, we
Yep.
sell it.
No, I think you're spot on with that, and I think it's fantastic. Why don't you get that feedback? Yeah, you send it out and get it. So many clubs don't. Yeah, and I cringe when I hear clubs that don't send out feedback, but then I cringe when I hear clubs that do send out feedback. I'll explain both of those why I mean. I think it's
Cool.
great to actually get the feedback coming in because you need to ask your members what they're after, but you don't need to action every single bit of feedback that comes back in, because if you do, you end up trying to be something to everybody, and in turn, you end up being nothing to anybody. Yep. I've seen so many council-run facilities that do it. Yeah, oh, we're sending out a member survey. Yeah, and all this stuff comes back. Then they're scared shitless that if they don't put those changes in, someone's going to whinge to council and the mayor's going to turn around and say, you need to bloody change it anyway because I need to be re-voted in. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure you would have seen it in your time with LMAP, going out to see those clubs. It's one of the biggest things that I saw, that I'd say to those clubs, don't throw out surveys. Chat to your members.
Yeah.
Chat to them. Have that conversation. You as a Group X manager or you as the club manager, go and have a chat to members. Rock up to them and, hey, how are things? What's going on? If you're on the floor and you're with them and you can grab that bit of advice from them, listen to what they're telling you. Yeah, you don't need to throw a survey out there. But then, on the other hand, if you are throwing surveys out and you're listening to what they're saying, don't just listen to the one or two people that are loud. Listen to everybody. Yeah. If you just respond to the one or two people that are loud and whinging, you'll end up putting a class on at 5:05 in the afternoon instead of 5:30, knowing that, hang on a second, people finish at 5. No one can get to your gym by 5:05. They can make it to 5:30, but the one or two people that whinge, they're the ones that finish work at 4 o'clock. They don't want to hang around until 5:30. They want to be gone by 6. Yeah. So there's the both sides of the coin there you've got to look at to go, you've got to listen, but you don't need to take on board absolutely everything. You need to listen to what's going on and be aware, but you can't service absolutely everybody in your gym, which is when I bring it back to pump, strength development. Those two different programs cater for everybody in the gym in that way. So you have what you're saying, your strength development is the younger demographic that are coming in, but can also cater to the 40-year-olds plus that have been doing it if they do it right. And pump is still there for that older demographic as well, and it still captures some of the younger ones. Yeah, if the younger ones have for whatever reason injured themselves or can't get in, and they can get in and still want to do a pump class, they will. They'll still go and do it because they're engaged in a group environment. We know they're going to do it. Yeah, I had a conversation with someone just recently with regard to indoor cycling. They rang me and
Was it
told
the what was the company? Spinning. You had spinning on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was actually a gym in Sydney that chatted to me. It said, Tone, we're actually closing the cycle studio. And I said, why? And they said, our cycle program's dead and dying, mate. It's gone. It's, we're so early 2000s. It's that's it. It's all over. And I laughed. I actually laughed at this person's ear because I was like, it's not. I said, mate, what's dead and dying is your instructor. Whoever your instructor was that was teaching that program has lost the passion for teaching that program. Is where it's come down to. I said, because if cycle, whether it's RPM, sprint, trip, spinning, whatever it may be, ASAL, Ride Rev, whatever it is, any of those programs, if they're dying, it's not the program. If the program was dying, they wouldn't be around. Yeah, Les Mills, RPM, sprint, and trip wouldn't be here. None of them would be around. There are so many new programs popping up to give the instructors variety. When a program isn't working, the first place you've got to look is your instructor.
Yep.
Have a look at who's teaching, who they're in front of, and what's going on. Walk in there. Hey, Tevita, I'm coming into your class tomorrow. Oh, shit, Tone's coming in. I don't even tell Tevita. I'm just going to rock up and see what happens in T's class and go, cool, okay, what's going on here? Have a look and suss it out. Any Group X manager or any club manager should have the confidence to walk into any class at any time to suss out what's going on. The programs aren't dying.
This is the Group X podcast.
I tell you what, in Australia as well, it's really interesting, right? Because for me, having been in Australia, well, actually, being in New Zealand and then moving to Aussie and having spent the time that I did in Australia, I think I was here maybe 6 or 7 years. I saw that, and it was quite hard for me to try and bridge because for me, it's like I know what you need to do, and I see what you're doing. How do I bridge that gap to ensure that you've got all the right things in place to make cycle as successful as it should be?
Yep.
And you mentioned there the group fitness instructors, right? Because it's always especially in Australia, and I mean this quite respectfully. I'm not trying to throw any shade on anyone, but I find in Australia the average age of instructors is still quite high.
Yes, it's an aging demographic. Yes.
Yeah, and the legacy instructors, right, which is great. And because those legacy instructors have held on to these classes for so long, and GFMs, GFMs are probably another conversation altogether, right? It's they're always doing something like 20 hours per week, and they don't have the time to really drive the program and mold it to ensure that it's attractive to members who aren't going to it. Where was I going here? With those that have been in there for such a long time, it's not appealing to the younger demographic that you want in the club. And then with Les Mills trying to then create new programs, or at least allow for the program to evolve a little bit to appeal to the younger demographic. These legacy instructors, I don't know, for whatever reason, refuse to accept that in order to do what's best for the club that I'm teaching in, I need to make sure that I'm evolving with the program, right? I think a lot of instructors tend to forget that it's not about you and your participants. It's actually the success of the business. If the business does well, there'll be more people in the pool. If more people are in the pool, there's potential of them being exposed to your class is higher. But no, they're so focused, internally as opposed to the business. And I think there's the other challenge in Australia as well. I say this is probably consistent across the world. Is that those in roles like in positions like I am right now don't quite know group fitness, and then GFMs don't know how to relate GFM KPIs to the business. So there's this big gap that needs to mold.
I agree with you.
To connect.
Yeah. 100%, and I think that's from my time with Les Mills. That's what I saw, is a big disparity between what a Group X manager should be doing, what they are doing. Yep, what they should be doing is up here. What they are doing is down here. Yep. One, because they don't have enough hours. Yep, to do the job properly. Now, admittedly, I've had this argument with many people with regards to how many hours a Group X manager should be doing.
Yeah.
Now, it does depend on the size of the timetable, 100%, but their role shouldn't involve finding covers, updating a timetable. All of that stuff should be automated. That should be stuff that's done within the blink of an eye, whether it's on an app, whether it's on software, whatever it may be. A Group X manager shouldn't be focusing on that as their whole job. And here in Australia, the majority of them, that's what they think a Group X manager's role is.
Yeah.
Now,
agree.
As you and I know, a Group X manager needs to be doing a hell of a lot more than that. They need to have skills to be able to talk to anybody, from a member that's just walked in to a member that's been there for the past 20 years. They need to be able to talk to all Group X managers, all Group X instructors. Now, we know that every Group X instructor is a different personality. Yeah, you could have 20 people on your team and you could have 20 different personalities. Yeah, not only that, they need to be able to chat to sales consultants. They need to be able to chat to gym club owners or club managers as well on different levels and have that different skill set. Now, back in the day, I think a Group X manager was given a role because, hey, you're the best instructor we've got. You get the most amount of participants in here. Cool. You can look after the timetable. Yeah, you're the most popular. Yeah, go for it. Now, while that was great, that doesn't mean you've got a managerial skill set to be able to manage a team properly, to be able to do what you've got to do. So as we're saying, look at a class that's underperforming. Why is that class underperforming? Does a Group X manager that's in the role have the skill set to understand why it's underperforming, but also then work with their staff, i.e. Group X instructor, to set KPIs for that instructor to make sure that they're able to be pumping out what they need to, to do the job they need to. Just because you can teach on what day is it, Wednesday, just because you can teach on Wednesday night at 6:30 doesn't mean you're the right fit for the club. You're the right fit for, cool, you can teach. Yeah, you can teach that program we need, but are you the right fit for my members? Yeah, at the moment, you're just saying before, you got 4,000 members. They want to try and get it to, I'm going to throw 6,000 as an example. Yet we need to get back up there to that.
I better get a bloody pay rise.
But is Tony coming in to teach a 6:30 class? Yeah, because you know what? I can teach strength development at 6:30. Yeah, great, fantastic. Is Tony the right fit? Group X managers, because they've only got 20 hours a week, will go, yeah, cool, you can get in and teach, go for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
And there are some clubs in Australia as well where Tony will come in and say, I'm only available from 6:20. Can you actually make it 6:20? And then some group fitness managers would do that because Tony's only available from 6:20.
Yeah, there's so many different things like that you need to, as a group X manager and also as a club manager, you need to take into consideration, but you need to build the class around your members, not around your instructors.
Correct.
Not around instructor and instructor availability. And don't get me wrong, I used to hear this quite often. We can't find instructors. We can't find instructors. There's no instructors that want to teach. Yes, it's one of the biggest challenges that's out there. But I'll ask Group X managers, what are you doing to find them? Don't just point the finger at the program provider. What are you doing as a manager in a department to go out there and find and attract new instructors? Are you looking in your classes? Are you looking elsewhere? Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, as a club, I'll be honest and say, as a club owner, I'd be looking to offer to pay training costs for someone to go and do a course if I thought that there was someone in the gym or someone that I'd found was actually good enough. You work out an agreement with them, work out a contract with them. Yeah, cool. I'm going to pay for your training, but you've got to stay exclusive to us for X period of time before you then go elsewhere.
You know what?
You've got to pay something for it.
I'm just thinking about how a lot of operators are struggling to find instructors. I think of my time of I think of when I became an instructor and how, because I think I might have been maybe 28 when I became an instructor. It was a lot later than a lot of people think.
Yep.
But I was a nightclub security for ages. When I studied at Otago University, I was a doorman. I worked on doors, and I think back then, and I think to my time back then, I just think, I wish someone said to me, had you ever considered teaching classes? You don't have to stay up till 5 a.m. every morning. You can, I was single at the time, right? You can teach to girls. Girls, you can get in front of them and you can showboat whatever. I'm sure if someone had that conversation with me, I would have got into group fitness a lot earlier. And now, having been through my journey and knowing what I know with being a male and the benefits that I've gained from being an instructor, because there's heaps of things that males that we don't talk about this, right? The benefits, things like stage presence, confidence, public speaking. I now know that when I speak to a male who's 18 or 19, I say to them, what do you want to be when you're older? Like, blah, blah, blah. When you dig a little bit deeper, they all want to be in some form of management role. They want to be the boss of something, because a lot of men want to be dads eventually, right? And provide and protect for their family. And when I link all of that back to being an instructor and the skills that you get from being an instructor, for a lot of them, it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that actually. I just wish that fitness operators, GFMs, club gym owners, and so on, actually proactively had that conversation with more males to start off with. Because if you look in the group fitness space, right, there aren't too many males who are instructors.
No. At North Sydney Fitness First, where I was back when I started in 2003, I think there's maybe 6 males, but 2 of us were straight. Yep. And that in itself was uncommon. Yeah, that was foreign to see 2 straight males in group exercise, because that's not norm. That's not the norm. Over time, we had more and more come through because it was very much led by the Group X manager, Shannon Cleary, that was there at that stage. Shannon got male PTs into group exercise classes because, hey guys, you know what? You come in here, you teach, you got 20 or 30 or 40 people, 50 people in front of you. There's your audience. There's your market for PT. It's the biggest and best way to actually grow your PT business, to become a group exercise instructor, because that's where I started. Yeah, I've shared this story before, but it's in an RPM studio where I was first found, or I jumped in there. As soon as I started teaching, I had people come up to me that had gelled with me and built a rapport with me. Hey, Tony, are you doing PT? Actually, yes, I am. Let's go for a session. Yeah. It's the biggest way and easiest way to actually grab an audience in front of you.
Is that fair from
I'm assuming
PTs,
that
isn't it? Is that fair from PTs? I mean, you were speaking with someone recently about, the fear of PTs jumping into CrossFit. Fear of PTs jumping into group fitness, or even trying to program it into their
yes,
who are you talking to about that recently?
Amy Styles.
No, someone
Yeah.
else. Adelaide. Yeah.
It's Emma Biddle.
Yes, Emma Biddle.
Emma.
My
Yes,
friend Emma Biddle.
yes, that was it.
Yeah.
Emma. Yeah, because she's predominantly in a PT environment
Yeah.
with Zip. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, but no, yeah. I suppose that getting back to where I was with strength development. Are you finding, and I suppose I know it's only early days yet for you guys in New Zealand, but are you finding more PTs getting into it? Because it is while it's not a normal group exercise class, I'm assuming, and I could be completely wrong and put myself out there when I say this, I'm assuming it'd be more PTs coming in to look at doing it, because it's not that whole, it's pre-choreographed, but not pre-choreographed to music.
Yeah, and there's also this great opportunity for someone who has knowledge, or someone who's actually really good at doing Olympic bar lifting, and therefore has their own way of coaching it, and uses different language. There's a good opportunity to bring that across into strength development, which is what I did tonight.
Yep.
You don't have to use the Les Mills specific language. You can use your own language, which is good, because then it creates this. And it was a challenge I had in Australia when I worked with Viva Leisure. PTs in Australia are incredibly knowledgeable. They're so good at what they do that they challenge Les Mills from a programming perspective.
Yep.
Here in New Zealand, well, especially at LMNZ clubs, we don't quite have that. There's not many PTs who challenge Les Mills group fitness. If anything, I say the culture within LMNZ clubs is so good that group fitness instructors and PTs are actually really good mates within the building. And then even with receptionists that we, I'd say, we don't see too many PTs go into actually, I lie. A lot of our PTs are group fitness instructors in LMNZ. And I think Les Mills New Zealand just have done that really well for such a long time. I found, though, in Australia, the challenge is actually PTs in Australia are far more knowledgeable. That for them, I'd say a lot of them would prefer to program their own stuff, hence go into a boutique gym or to a CrossFit, because they probably get a lot more out of programming a workout as opposed to teaching something that's pre-choreographed. So the conversation in Australia for me, if I was to go back now and do it, and if I went back to Clubline today and I was to do the same role as doing the National Group Fitness Manager role, the knowledge that I got from LMAP as a business partnership manager, and my knowledge of being with Hit Republic and working with highly knowledgeable PTs, I think I would have a better idea of how I would bridge that gap between group fitness and PT in Australia, because PTs I say PTs in New Zealand don't push the boundaries as much as Australia do, and because of that, PTs, it's harder for those PTs to then go, I see why Les Mills do what they do. If anything, they go, your programming is off. I'd rather not do that. So, but I think if you sell the other benefits of actually being an instructor, program aside, being stage presence, and it's a global brand and so on, I think you probably get a fair few more PTs over the line in Australia.
Yeah, I think the other side of that as well is that I was chatting to Emma with regards to is that as a PT, clients will only really see you one, maybe two times a week tops. Yeah, especially now. Money's tight, interest rates are going up. Financially, people don't have as much money. If someone's coming in to train with you, they're coming in for a PT session one-on-one, they can get out there and they can follow that program again themselves another day. But if that person doesn't have the motivation to go in there and do that style of programming by themselves, if you recommend and push them over to group exercise, it's going to take care of it. It's not going to do it to the exact level that you were as a PT, as that program was, but they're still motivated. They're still getting some form of workout. They're still keeping their level of fitness up, by attending a group exercise class. Plus, there's people around them, so there's motivation there straight away. Yep. I think more PTs need to have the confidence to be able to recommend that and know that they're not going to lose a client by pushing them into a group exercise class, but it's only going to aid their training sessions and engage them to keep that customer longer, because you're prescribing something that they can go and do that, you know what, cool, I can get in there and do that.
And you're getting them.
Yeah. I think a lot of PTs here in Australia need to have that confidence and need to have that, I suppose, the awareness of what the programs do, because a lot of them don't. And that's not poo-pooing on PTs, by the way. If people are listening, it's not poo-pooing on anybody. It's more just getting an awareness to say, hey, open your eyes.
I think this is where a lot of general managers and club managers could be better at understanding all the different parts within their business, you know, and being able to speak to your group fitness manager and the PT manager and get them to sell the benefits down to their team. And I'd say LMNZ have been doing it well for such a long time that today it's kind of natural, right? We get high attendance to our group fitness classes because we've had great instructors for such a long time that our standard is up there, right? So anyone that wants to come through quickly has to rise to that. And because of that, we get a lot of people coming through. Coming back to your point regarding PTs who might see their clients once or twice a week, I mean, you know, the benefits of having your clients come into the gym more than twice per week, right? I mean, that retention conversation altogether, if they understood that, you know, my client sees me once a week, I wonder if they come in any other times throughout the week. I bet you a lot of PTs don't even know, right? If your client is paying you to seeing you once a week, you want to at least make sure they come in twice a week. So get them to go to a group fitness class for the pure enjoyment of coming to the gym, and they'll stay longer if you're good enough, and they'll stay with you longer, and then they'll stay in the business longer. So I think that conversation alone, thanks to LMAP, I know those sort of stats now.
Mate, I love the fact that you've come at that from a club manager's perspective as well. Yep. As a club manager, being able to have those style of conversations to your Group X manager and to your PTs to say, hey, you know what, cool, they're coming to you once a week. Is that all they're coming into the gym for? Mate, you are good, but you're not God. Yeah. If a PT, someone's coming to you once a week, what are they doing for the other, I don't know how many other hours there are in the week, but you know, they're coming to you for 1 hour. You can produce results, but mate, what they're throwing in their body, what other exercise are they doing? Either you're just there to take their money and not get them results, because if you prescribe them to get into the gym another couple of times a week, I'll be honest and say, as up myself as this sounds, I'd probably 85 to 90% of my PT clients were also in group exercise classes during the week. Yeah, if they just come to see me, I'd be flicking them after a while, going, look, it's just not working. Yep, I can produce results, but I can't control everything you're doing. If you're in here another 2 times a week, a minimum, you're going to start seeing results on top of what you and I are doing. Yeah. Not only that, as a club manager is going to be loving that, because, hey, you know what? We've just got that person engaged in here 3 times a week. Attendance for the club starts to go up. More revenue starts to go up. Hey, Group X instructors, guess what? If the club's earning more money, you've probably got the opportunity to be paid a little bit more
100%.
as well. It all works in together if we work as a team to make it happen. And Group X instructors that just sit back and go, I deserve more money, I want more money. What are you doing? What are you doing as an individual to make sure that people are coming more often? Therefore, if people are coming more often, engagement is up.
This is the Group X podcast.
You know, and most people like learning new things, right? So there's heaps of things that you can teach. There's heaps of stats that you can give to your instructors, and getting them feeling like, oh, I can be more than just an instructor, right? And instead of keeping them tunnel vision to just group fitness, if you add little bits and pieces that are probably outside the scope of a group fitness instructor, it's adding value in different ways, and then, you know, it steers them away from the dollar sign. You know, always coming back to, you know, wanting more money. They'll come back because they find value and growth, and you know, you might open the door for them to become something else because you've just given them all sorts of other information. So that's something that I'm quite conscious of doing as well. Is that I understand that I've been an MC. Also a membership consultant. I've been a group fitness manager. I've been a PT. I've been a group fitness instructor. I've been a club manager. I've done quite a lot. I've cleaned many toilets in my life as well. So I've been a cleaner and so on. That I like to think that I can shape and package the conversation within the fitness industry specific to the person that I'm talking to. and it keeps them within the team at LMZ feeling more valued because, I understand I'm a group fitness instructor, but you're actually teaching me a bit more about being a leader, or you've taught me how to do a clean and jerk better. So I through this conversation and getting to know your team, you can find out what they value, and then having the various experiences that I've been able to then go, all right, drop this bit to them, add a bit of value. They'll buy some time for a couple of months to then do something else again.
Yep. I want to go back to strength development for a second because there's a little bit there. I don't want to take too much away from the big launch that will happen here.
It'll come, Tony.
Les Mills,
It'll come.
Asia
I
Pacific,
promise it'll come.
Australia.
Yeah,
it'll be there. I don't want to take too much away, but I just want to try and drop in a little bit more. The training that you go through for strength development. Can you give us a little bit of a sneak insight on what the training?
I'm going to be cheeky, right? So well, first of all, within LMZ clubs, so Les Mills International will trial or create they'll conceptualize a program and then they trial it out, and then they'll trial it out within the LMZ clubs for a period of time, and often the training's quite minimal. Like it's very quite minimal. There might be a half day training where someone from Auckland will travel down to Christchurch, and then they'll go over maybe just the Corrie and some stuff, and we're almost winging it a little bit. And then the feedback goes back and forth. They pull it off the timetable, which is what they've currently done with Shapes, which is a program as well, which is all part of this Gen Active offering. And they'll refine it, and then I'll bring it back. So to come to your question, training for us for street development was a 1 day session, and you're going over the basic movements. I was cheeky because I couldn't officially be in the room, but I was on a duty manager shift at the time, so I was kind of in and out. I read the notes, I looked at the music, and it is that basic to teach, right? It's you look at the choreo and you got movement A, movement B. This is the time period. It's slow, it's a different tempo, and then when you go into coach it, it's essentially just coaching it like as if you're a PT. You're breaking down the cues, you're reading the room in front of you.
Okay, so you're not actually doing the workout with them.
I did. You do it as well. You do the but when I say like a PT, you've got the movements, but the coaching, you can determine how the coaching looks. Because I'm trying to think of how I might frame this for those that aren't Les Mills instructors. Les Mills instructors have with Les Mills, you have your structure to how you coach layer 1s, 2s, and 3s, and you've got your 5 key elements and so on. I find there's a lot more flexibility with strength development, especially with ceremony. I did the ceremony training the other weekend. Warm up is completely different. You have to think on the go for the warm up. It's not here's ceremony 19. Do this move, that move, that move. You've got 7 points, and you have to think of range of motion, body awareness. There's a lot that's required for someone that's going to be delivering a ceremony class. I know I've diverted a little bit here, Tony.
No, mate, I like it because what it shows is the programs are actually going the next step. Yeah, it's not here it is. Be a parrot. Go do this. Yeah. They're getting you engaged. They're getting you to actually have the skill set as the coach, as the trainer, to actually think about what you're delivering. Think about it. Make sure it's tailor it to who's in front of you. Which I think is. I was chatting to the Metafit chat that just from that the other day with Dan. That we were talking about in that the coach in that program is hands-on. They've got to think about it. This is the movement. This is what we're doing. This is how it's got to be executed. I think that is the next evolution and the next step for the Les Mills programs. And what it sounds like is happening with strength development is ticking those boxes to go, you know what, hey, as a coach, you can stand there and you can do the workout, but you can also work the room. Make sure that what people are doing is safe, is effective, and he's going to get them results.
And the benefit of, if you're a club in Australia and you're putting on ceremony into your timetable, the benefit of having that, because a lot of clubs are already doing that sort of training in their gyms across Australia. The beauty of, say, a Les Mills ceremony is it just takes your thinking away. You don't have to come up with the choreography or the music, or not choreography, sorry. You don't have to come up with the workout plan. You don't have to come up with the music. It's literally plug in, But as a coach, you can still coach based on the room, based on the movement. You can come up with your own mobility stuff as well, which is great.
Yep.
What it does, it
Yep.
just takes away, because I remember with Club Lime when we were, Club Lime circuit was something I was working on a lot. I had to come up with the idea of Club Lime circuit. So these what does the workout look like? How do we go about music? What's actually the music licensing look like? So it takes all of that away, and all you do is just put it
Yep.
into your room. And I'd say ceremony will go really well in Australia. If there's a club that is trying to do functional training in a group space, but not nailing it, because a lot of the clubs in Australia, a lot of those that are teaching functional training or HIIT training, especially in gyms, in your big box gyms, your aging demographic are those who are in the group fitness world, but haven't been exposed to that world of functional / HIIT training. So I think ceremony would really bridge that gap and get younger people attending group fitness within your gym.
Yeah, I haven't heard if ceremony's coming, but I do hope it is. It sounds like it's a fantastic addition here in Australia. It's not here yet, though, is it? I don't think so. I don't think when I had a look on the website, I don't think ceremony.
I believe that, these conversations.
Yeah, no, yes, I know. I heard a little whisper that there are more programs coming. Yes, people just stay tuned, keep your ears and eyes open, and I'm sure when the timing's right, Les Mills will let you all know.
And I'm sure with the Gen Active programs,
space,
which is shapes, strength development, these like shapes cardio, which is quite new. We've currently got, so we had strength development and shapes on the timetable last month. Shapes was pulled off, and Ali Mai are doing the Ali Mai magic and trying to package it for the global market. Strength development stayed on, but now we've got strength lab back on the timetable. So we've got strength development and strength lab. I couldn't tell you too much about strength lab, to be honest. But the way it works is that we're always, like I say, we've now got a time slot where we've put on these Gen Active programs, and what's worked really well for us is putting them on shoulder times. So let's say your body pump class, that's today's a good example. So body pump runs at 5:30 on a Wednesday afternoon at Les Mills Christchurch, and it's packed. We've put on strength development at 4:45, and it's packed. I think I had close to 60 people in there. Body pump had close to 60 people as well. Yes. So these Gen Active programs for us have worked really well at shoulder times. And then what we're trying to do in Les Mills Christchurch, and this is something that we're always trying to figure out, is, do we just have this time slot, the shoulder time slot, as being a Gen Active time slot? So when strength development drops off, we'll put in shapes back into there. I mean, shapes drops off, we'll put in the next one. So I think the Gen Active programs will have, will be, as you put it, 12-week programs. But you take one off and you put the next one on, and then for those who are of that demographic, hopefully for them it provides that alternative or the variation they all want. Correct.
Variety. Yeah. Like the feedback you got.
Oh my gosh. You know what? And this is a challenge, right? This is a challenge for a lot of people in management roles or leadership roles. It's not taking any of that personal. Because I've been in businesses where you get that feedback and it's like, oh, they don't know. What do they know? And you're making it all about the person that provided your feedback. If anything, the person providing the feedback is not telling you, Tony, you're shit. How dare you do that dumb program all the time? They're just saying, from my perspective, this is how it looks. So if you take that as being constructive criticism and go, what are we missing here? Are we not selling it well enough to them? Or are they right in saying that maybe we should do something else? I love this feedback. I really do love it. I find, so we use the NPS system with this. I find that if I get anything that's a promoter score, so 9 or 8 or 9 or 10, I kind of just let that go and I give myself a little tap on the back. I find if it's a passive, so 7 or 8, I'll read it. But as soon as detractors come through, 1 to 6, it's a red. I go there straight away. I'm like, what do they want? And why are they giving us a low score? And I reply straight away. But I really really love getting feedback from our members. And I also love actually talking, as to your point before, I really love walking the gym, talking to our members, because I find that being able to do that, I'll see patterns within our feedback. So let's say this month it might be all about the sauna. The sauna's grubby and dirty and blah blah blah. But if next month I notice that the sauna's stopped and now they're talking about something else, and at least we've done it well. We've moved the needle, and as long as the needle is always moving, then at least we're looking at the feedback and trying to really listen to the consistent people. I mean, to the masses as opposed to those two outspoken people.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, one of the moments that I remember so clear in my mind back in the days of North Sydney as a Group X manager was standing at reception, swiping people in. Just before a peak time slot was happening, I wasn't teaching, but I'd stand there and help out at reception, and you'd see people that and my big thing was, hey, how you doing? Great, cool, just wanted me. G'day, such and such. What are you doing tonight? Oh, you're going to do Group X? Cool. You know where the studio is? Yeah, fantastic. Having that engagement with your members. Most of the members at the club, they knew that I was a Group X manager. They knew who I was. One, because I'm me. Yeah, I'll talk to a leaf on a tree.
What's Tony doing?
I'll talk to anyone.
But I'm he's talking to the tree again.
he's talking to a tree. What's going on? But I will talk to anybody. But I make sure that I got to know the people that were in that gym. Yeah. One, whether it was when I was PTing with my clients, to acknowledge someone and get eye contact and say g'day, or walk past the Group X studio as it's happening. Yeah. Stick your face in and just have a look. My instructors used to love it. Oh, the big fella's put his head in again. Yeah, what's going on? How you going? Yeah, walk on to the next room. It was enough to show engagement, but the instructors loved the fact that Tone's here. He's just had a look at what's going on. He's happy. Yeah, sweet. Because they knew if I'd walked in and something wasn't right, and then say something.
And I can imagine the sort of person you would have been as well. The relationship you, Tony, or even other great leaders would have with their team, right? So I can imagine that you would open the door, take your head into the group fitness studio, and whoever's teaching pup would be like, Tony, everyone say hi to Tony. But what that does though is it tells the members in the room, oh, happy family. Everyone here gets along. And I love that about our club as well. That happens a lot, right? So I'll pop in, and sometimes I know that when I show my face in the club in a class, and remember, I'm not a group fitness manager anymore, right? So I understand that I have to separate myself from group fitness a lot. So I know that when I show my face, the instructor's always going to yell out to me or something. So I'll try and just sort of duck my head in real quick, but they'll always point it out. And I love that our members see that, because I love that our members know that I'm the club manager, and then the club manager and the group fitness manager have good relationship with the instructors. And coming to your point, you were saying about sitting at reception and handing out the tickets to those that are booked in for your cycle classes. Bevan James Isles does that amazingly well, right? So if you think of him doing that, and it's just how he is. He's the guy that's saying hi to everyone before a class, and he's the guy that's saying bye to everyone after the class, and he does that every class, every week. And because he does that so consistently and so normally and so normal, every other instructor sees it, so it becomes the norm. But because of his standard of being there, everyone else sees it. So everyone else is like, oh, I got to say hi to all my members. So we're really fortunate to have people like Bevan and other legacy instructors who are just really good at doing that. And then because of that, you get exposed to it. So the standard's always up here, and then members just keep getting the best version of group fitness.
This is the Group X podcast.
Yeah. You touched on it then, and you said that as you as a club manager, pop your head in. I not challenge anyone, but I recommend to any club owner or club manager that's listening, if you are in the club when Group X is on, go stick your head in. Say good day. Yep, just have a look past, and nothing more apart from that. But start that relationship. Start that. It takes you 10 minutes, if that, out of your day. Yeah. If you can't put 10 minutes in at your peak time slot to walk past a room and acknowledge, or even just wave at your instructor or wave at a member, get their eye contact. It's all you need to do. 100%. You've got to start it though. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy and think, oh no, I'm just going to sit in my office. No, I can't go out there. Mate, walk past someone on the treadmill and say good day.
I was just going to say that I do that all the time. I get away from my computer and I'll go to the cardio area because I know at peak time it's full. And I'll just wave to the person on the treadmill, wave to the old guy that's on the bike every time. I'll go down to the cafe, and there's Nana Jan who's sitting there in the mornings. She's just done her body pump in the morning. And I'll go up to him like, oh, what do we have for breakfast today, ladies? A lot of club managers and a lot of GMs, we tend to think that we're hot shit when we've got to that role, and we sit there and we're like, we're here, we should be protected from everyone, and all we're doing is this, right? It's like, we forget that we're in the fitness industry, and we should always be about people. And the better that we can connect with our people, regardless who the people is, I'd say that the business would be, you know what? And if you talk to anyone at LMNZ, there's a lady called Jackie who manages Les Mills New Lynn, and she's been there for such a long time. She nails that. And I'm so fortunate again to be exposed to that.
Yep.
She's up in New Lynn, which is Auckland. That I see how she operates. I'm like, I want to be like her. I want to be like her. And I'm hoping that me being like her, someone at LMNZ is looking at me and going, I want to be like T. I really want to be like Tevita. So I'm all for that. Any club manager or general manager, if I ever become a COO or a CEO of a company, which I would love to be in the next 5 or 10 years, I'd still want to be that person that goes up to Tony, how's the tree? How's the tree, Tony? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Mate, I enjoy hearing that because it shows your personality and shows your style as well. If we can pass what we're talking about on, even 1% of it, someone engages with and someone takes it on board and tries it, Guys, then I'll say this now, guys, that are listening, if you are going to try it and it works or it doesn't work, get in touch with me. Let me know how it went. I'd love to be able to share your story, on if it's making a difference and it's made a difference, let's share it with other people. Let's get them talking about it as well. Hey, before we wrap it up, because I want to be mindful of your time, sure. I've got 2 other questions that I want to ask you. The same question, but for different roles within the organisation. Yep. So as a Group X manager, what would you recommend a Group X manager does to try and improve team morale? And I know I've thrown you on the spot with this one because I didn't prepare. So...
yeah, you know what?
I should play some thinking music for a second for you.
Group fitness managers, anyone that's a group fitness manager understands how emotionally draining it can be, right? The bigger your team, the more draining it is emotionally. I'd say to boost morale as a group fitness manager, I'd say it comes back to the people. And I'm thinking of myself as a group fitness manager, as a club manager. It still comes back to the fundamental of a human being talking to a human being. I say if you nail that part, regardless of what your role is, if you look at your group fitness instructors as being people, and then your people have needs. Like let's say, for example, it's a new instructor that wants their regular class, right? They want their regular class on the timetable. Not thinking, oh, are they even good enough to even get their own class? But actually thinking, all right, this new instructor is a human being that has needs. How can I just address that, or at least help that? If you're looking at an instructor that's been there for 20 years and hasn't had a pay rise in such a long time, actually approaching that conversation and looking at them as a person. I think if we just look at the fundamentals of communicating with another human being, I'd say you get a lot of that stuff right. I also think it's important that a group fitness manager, as you said before, Tony, really understands how to speak to a club manager, to a PT manager, to the reception, that they actually know how to adjust their language so that whoever they're speaking to within the business actually understands what they're trying to do as a group fitness manager. Because I think once you do that well, you'll then be able to utilize your management team to help you boost the morale as opposed to you doing it alone. Because I understand as a group, my group fitness manager, Serena, is amazing. Serena's young. She's 26, 27 years old. You can imagine for someone like her who's quite young, who's managing people like Bevan James, Maureen Baker, Jean Scott, who's been around for such a long time. For her, it can be quite intimidating, but I say what she does really well is that she actually looks at every single person as a human being, and she also looks at her team as in me and the other managers as being her team, that she tries to approach morale as a unit as opposed to her trying to boost the group fitness morale. I'm hoping I'm making sense of all of that. Yeah.
100%, man. Well, it does to me. It does to me, and I that's not all that matters. But no, it's what you said just lands. As a Group X manager, you're saying they need to have that skill set to be able to talk to everyone, to listen, to talk, to have that conversation as that person.
Use your team.
Yep. Not as an object.
Use your team. Use your.
Yeah.
Always know that you're not alone in those situations. It is going to be tough leading a group fitness team, but you're never alone. Like lean on your personal training manager, lean on your reception manager, lean on your club manager, lean on some of your senior instructors. There's people there that will probably know how to boost the morale. If you don't know how to do it, someone in your team knows. So just use your team to drive to boost the morale, but at the same time, actually make sure that you and also make sure that you understand how you can provide clarity to a lot of your members or a lot of your staff as well. Because I find a lot of GFMs don't quite understand. They don't understand the picture clear enough. So for them to then try and provide clarity to instructors, that becomes a bit more of a challenge. And then, if you don't know, if your instructor doesn't trust you or also doesn't think that you know what you're doing, boosting morale is going to be a challenge. Yeah. I feel like we could talk about this for ages, Tony. I feel like we can go
Thank you for
round
that.
and round and round and round. Yeah.
There's a whole podcast series on Group X management, which is going to be coming out soon. And that's something that it's probably, to me, the way I look at doing it is probably going to be a round table. Yeah, there's going to be 5 or 6 people that get on for an hour chat and we get individuals talking. I think that's something that I really want to address because for me, when group exercise isn't working, you need to look at all angles. And if the Group X manager has their finger on the pulse and is doing everything they possibly can, you're more likely to have a really successful timetable, a really successful group exercise department working for you. Yeah. So stay tuned, people. There's something coming. We just need to work on that. The last one is as a club manager, club owner, what are you looking for in a Group X manager?
Yeah.
As for you in your position of club manager, what are you looking for in your Group X manager to make sure that they're doing the right stuff, they're nailing it, you've got faith in that person to run their department?
I mean, you're gonna want them to. I mean, them coming from the group fitness world, so being an instructor, that's a given, right? All the stuff that you would expect for them to have, background in group fitness. Hopefully, they're a good instructor. That's kind of the stuff that you would expect. Right? Those are the ABCs that should come with it. What I'm looking for, again, it comes back to that personality, the person who is quite level-headed, quite calm, really good at communicating with people. Because for me, it's all about using your knowledge of group fitness to communicate, or using your skill set to communicate with your team, to be able to provide your knowledge of group fitness and get that across clearly. But I'd say what I would look for is your ability to communicate and actually lead a team. So I'd say for me, it is being a really good leader, really organized. For a lot of GFMs, I understand that they don't quite know what they don't know with regards to the business and operations. But I like to think that whoever is my GFM has the ability to then think spreadsheets, to think numbers, to think statistics as well. But then being able to link that back to the performance of group fitness, to the instructor. Those are the things that I would like, but the main part for me would be the ability to communicate and lead with the team. And for me, Tony, I mean, a lot of things that I do come back to your ability to communicate with the person and with the team. Because I think if you can do that really well, that skill set should be able to put you into any role in this world. You can run McDonald's, you can run whatever. If you're a really good leader and you're able to communicate and get the trust from other people, then you can sell them whatever. You can sell them group fitness. So to answer your question, I'm looking for someone that's a good person and a good leader, but also open to learning numbers, because I think that's important. I think that's important within a business.
Yeah. I think you nailed it there. The only thing I would add on top of that is you being a good manager yourself. Yeah. If you're a great manager and you have the skill set to be able to train that person up or guide that person in what they're doing, and have, as you're saying, that open conversation, that open relationship with them to realize that where their skill set may be, where it may finish, where it may end, what it may be, to be able to work with them to improve them as well. I think that's when you as an individual, as a club owner or club manager, shine when you help the people underneath you elevate and lift up. If your Group X manager at the moment doesn't have the right skill set, don't sack them, don't get rid of them, work with them. Yeah. This is not about get rid of that person and find someone else. This is about what are you doing as a manager to make sure that your staff are the right fit. Yep. What can you do to help them help you? Yep. Walk into that conversation and go, how can I help? Yeah, if they don't have the skill set, work with them. Work with them as a leader that you are to give them the right skill set to work, because not only is it, yes, it's their department, they've got to fix it, but it's your team as well. And you're leading the ship. You're the captain. You're the boat of the captain of the boat, not the boat of the captain. The captain of the boat. You're the one at the helm. You've got to make sure that everyone in their department is doing the right thing. So work with them in a big way. And I think Group X managers, what I'll say to you, if you're listening and you're feeling a bit lost,
reach out to me, Tony. You know what?
Your club manager, or the club owner.
I would love for group fitness managers to actually reach out to me, Instagram or whatever, and to like if they want to find out more about. If they want to find out how they might be able to approach a conversation with the club manager, reach out to me. I love having these chats, right? I'm not the best at verbalizing it. I'm not the best at articulating what I'm trying to say, but I understand. I think I have an understanding of as you would of how a group fitness manager can package a conversation to then go and talk to their club manager or their GM and so on. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, please, I love having these chats. I'm open to it.
I will say that we've been chatting for about an hour and 10 minutes, and you've been able to articulate yourself pretty well. So give yourself a bit more credit, man.
My daughter's probably burnt down the house as well. She's inside. Yeah.
No, mate.
Tony, when are we going to listen? When are we going to have an episode on you, mate?
Tevita, thank you so much for coming on the show. Mate, one day we might find out a little bit more about Tony, but I've been drip feeding. So those that have been engaged since the beginning have heard bits and pieces about Tony all the way through. And, there may be someone said to me the other day, Tony, you just need to do an episode of you talking. You having a conversation, not having a conversation with yourself, but you having an episode that is just you having a conversation about the industry. So you never know, I may work on something, but other than that, I've got to try and find someone that I'd like to interview me. I need to.
I tell you what, I love what you do, Tony, and you know how I hope it came across clear that I love to acknowledge everyone that's played a part in my role and people that I've crossed paths with. Like I really do. I think of them all the time, right? So good or bad, I've said your wife, your wife, Rach, and I think of our time last year, was it, in Sydney when we caught up. I think you were at the Oz Fitness. Everything for me had a reason, right? And I'm grateful, and I acknowledge every moment in my life for that reason. It's put me where I am today, and I'm really excited to think of where your show is going to stand. If you think of like 3 years into the future, your show would have played a massive impact to something in the near future. So
I appreciate
kudos to you, Tony.
Mate,
I love what you do.
You're
sharing stories that a lot of people don't get to hear, and it's really cool.
But it's I just want to say it's evolved a hell of a lot from the first conversation I had during COVID lockdown here in Australia. I did. I can't remember how many episodes, but I think it was 18 or 19, and then stopped for a while because I was like, hang on a second, this isn't where I wanted it to go. I pulled the pin for a couple of months and then got back into it, and it's developed into something even more than I thought possible. The website has evolved. We're looking at doing membership stuff on the website now and having compliance stuff, having discounts from suppliers and discounts from education providers in there. It's just growing and morphing into something that, I'll be honest and say 3 years ago or 2 years ago when I started it, that wasn't the aim. The aim was just to get group exercise spoken about more often so people really understood the pulling power that it's got, and that is still the nuts and bolts of what it is. For me, I have a passion for this industry that I want people, I just know that it can be done better if it's not being done best. Yeah, there's ways and means and opening up and having those conversations and with people like yourself, every single guest that I've had on the show has been able to bring something and will continue to bring something, into the future. And I mean, I'm not the person that I struggle to take compliments. I always have been because I'm like, yeah, cool, like thanks. But it goes, yeah, cool,
take it.
Thing, I don't do it for the notoriety. I don't do it for the. As I said, when we hit 10,000 downloads, I was spun out. It's like, oh, wow, cool. You know, I haven't looked at it again since. I don't know where we're at because I don't care, because it's not about how many, you know, how many does this show get? How many? I don't actually care. It's about, even if one person got engaged and one person listened, like that's all. That's my aim. You know, if someone wants to tune in and listen, fantastic. If they've taken some good stuff away, great. You know, if they haven't and they want to poo-poo it, give me some feedback. Let me know. Yeah, if you thought it was shit, let me know. I'm happy to take on board. You know, I can fix it for you in the end. So, but mate, seriously, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing an hour and a bit of your Wednesday night with me and your knowledge as well, mate. I've greatly appreciated spending some time with you.
Oh, I appreciate it, Tony. Send my love to Rach and anyone else that I've come across in Australia. Lee,
Love it.
Take care, buddy.